I'm Barbara O'Neill, and if you're over 50 and feeling like your body just isn't bouncing back like it used to, you're not alone. The good news? It doesn't have to be this way. In the next few minutes, I'll share simple, powerful strategies that can transform your health in just 2 weeks. No gimmicks, just natural proven methods. Whether it's stubborn aches, low energy, or digestive issues holding you back, these steps can truly change your life forever. So stick with me. I promise you'll be amazed at what your body is capable of when given the right care. Internally turmeric. Yep.
So how can turmeric be taken internally? You can take it in quite large doses. So I had an injury in my shoulder once. In fact, it was not responding, and so I had a scan to find out what was happening in there, and it showed that I had a full thickness tear of my supraspinatus tendon. Your supraspinatus tendon is the tendon that sits in that dip in your humerus, and your supraspinatus tendon causes your arm to go up. From about there, it's the deltoid. You know, the deltoid is this muscle here that kicks in.
I went home and I started to do comfrey poultices. We have comfrey growing. It was winter, so I was grating up the comfrey root, and I was putting a comfrey root poultice on for 4 hours, twice a day. It was painful, and it would often be painful. And so I was taking internally turmeric, and I was taking 6,000 milligrams of turmeric capsules a day. As my condition improved, I gradually reduced the dosage to 3,000 milligrams and cut back on poultice applications. Over time, I regained full functionality with no pain or signs of the injury. Turmeric proved to be a powerful ally, both internally and externally, showing its remarkable anti-inflammatory and healing benefits. Garlic is also a blood thinner and vasodilator. Ginger is also a blood thinner and also a vasodilator. Hippocrates said, "Let food be your medicine and medicine be your food." How nice when medicine can be our food.
I've had some people say to me, "I'm spending a fortune on supplements." How nice when our food can be our healers.
Ginger can be taken in many ways. My favorite is to grate it and pour boiling water on it and drink it. I love a hot ginger tea. We also put it in some of our juices.
If I'm travelling and there's nothing to eat and I see there's a juice bar, I'll get carrot, celery and apple juice with double ginger. Oh, it's very nice.
Now we're going to have a look at ginger. Ginger can be used internally, and ginger can be used externally.
Internally, it's an anti-inflammatory, but it's probably mostly known for its anti-nausea effect. If you buy car sickness or seasickness tablets, it's compressed ginger. Now, the easiest way I think to have this is to grate it.
If someone's very cold, maybe they've been caught out in the cold or something, and it's very hard to warm them up. Give them a cup of hot ginger tea, and it will warm them up very nicely. So it can be used for nausea. It can be used to warm a person if they're chilled or cold. And you saw too, it is one of the recipes in the flu balm. The active compounds in ginger help reduce this inflammation significantly. I recommend ginger tea. Grate a teaspoon of fresh ginger, pour boiling water over it, and let it steep for 10 minutes. Ginger not only soothes, but also enhances circulation, delivering vital nutrients and oxygen to nerve cells, supporting their repair and strength. Why settle for synthetic solutions when nature offers such a potent remedy?
Whereas dandelion, lion is the king of the jungle, and I think dandelion is the king of the herbs in the garden, because dandelion is a bitter herb. If you were to bite it and eat it, it's very, very bitter. And you've heard the old saying, sweet to the mouth, bitter to the stomach. Sweet to the mouth, bitter to the stomach. Think of that with sugar. Sugar is sweet to the mouth, but very bitter to the stomach. Whereas your bitter herbs like dandelion, they're bitter to the mouth, but very sweet to the stomach, because it's the bitter herbs that stimulate the liver to release its digestive enzymes, and also the bitterness causes the stomach to release its digestive enzymes too. Dandelion is the liver herb. Your liver is a recoverable organ. It's the only organ in the body that has the ability to regrow or recover. That's why they can do a liver transplant on just a little bit of liver, and the liver will regrow. And I'm so glad, Maid, that God made the liver a recoverable organ. Cancer cannot get a hold on the body if the liver's working in optimum performance. Now, how can we eat this? How can we eat the dandelion? Well, there's a recipe in Europe. A friend of mine went through Europe traveling for a while, and she stayed at some of her relatives because she is German descent. And she said that they make this wonderful hot potato salad. They cook the potatoes and then they chop them up hot into hunks, and then they chop up heaps of dandelion, and then they put lots of olive oil, crushed garlic and salt. Just imagine that. Doesn't that sound yum? Now those smooth, blandish potatoes covered with the delicious olive oil that makes anything taste nice.
And you might be surprised to see that the first alkaline food I'm putting up here is the humble lemon. And you might say, no, the lemon's acid. It is, and it's acid where it should be. There's only one part in the body that should be acid. Do you know where that is? Stomach. It must be acid. If someone says, I've got a very acid stomach, I say, praise God. Because if you don't have an acid stomach, you can't break your proteins down. That's why you'll find that most of our salad dressings have lemon in them. But when it is broken down in the gut and the minerals are dispersed and absorbed into the blood and thus to the tissues, it has an alkaline effect because the lemon is high in the alkaline minerals, which is sodium and potassium, calcium, magnesium, and iron.
The second most vital element needed for life is water. You can go 3 minutes without oxygen. You can go couple of weeks without water. I always thought it was 3 days without water until I read a book called The Long Walk about some people who were escaping the Siberian work camp, and they were in the desert and they went nearly 2 weeks without water.
We have to go to the third most vital element needed for life, and that is sodium. The fourth most vital element needed for life is potassium. So let's go back to sodium.
We find the highest amount of sodium in seawater, and seawater contains 92 minerals. Of those 92 minerals, approximately 30% is sodium. And of those 92 minerals, approximately 50% is chloride. Now, because sodium chloride take up the most amount, they're the first crystals formed when the water is evaporated. So what man does is he scoops up the first crystals formed, he bleaches them white, puts aluminium with it so that it runs freely, and there's your table salt. Table salt is a dangerous salt because we now have 2 very harsh minerals that if you were to inject both of those into the blood, you would die. There's 2 harsh minerals and they need all the other 90 to soften them and balance them. The highest concentration of mineral inside the cell is potassium. The highest concentration outside the cell is sodium. And in this bilayered membrane that is around every cell, there are sodium-potassium pumps. And these sodium-potassium pumps are ever going like this, maintaining the balance between potassium and sodium. But when someone's not eating enough fruits and vegetables, and that's where you get most of your potassium, and they're putting table salt on everything far too much, what happens now is sodium levels rise and potassium levels drop. There is a small amount of sodium in the cell, but when this happens, you see osmosis and diffusion happens when the highest concentration merges into the lowest. So now sodium levels inside the cell are rising, which they should not, and the cell swells. What's that called? High blood pressure. The first one we're going to look at is the humble onion, and everyone has an onion in their home. And the onion was the first poultice that I ever did. And I think in your book it's got the poultices there. And you can use onion cooked or you can use it raw. So we'll begin by looking at the cooked onion, and you steam it. just like that, with all the skin on top, because the bottom will hold everything in place. And ideally you steam it or you dry bake it. If you boil it, some of the healing properties are going to go into the water. And when it's hot and soft, you cut it in half, so what you're looking at is the rings. And what you can do, which I have since learnt, that you can squeeze that and you can put some of that hot cooked onion juice into a spoon. It'll be boiling, but when it gets onto the cold spoon, it'll come to just the right temperature, and then that can be put into an ear that is sore or aching. And then with the hot cooked onion, you wrap it up a few times. You might use a cloth. These are sheets that started to get a bit thin. I think they make the nicest poultice material. You know, the sheets that the 15-year-old boy puts his foot to, perfect. Puts it through, they're the perfect ones. And then you get it just the right temperature and you can put that on the ear, and then you might cover it with a plastic square. It needs to have a plastic square on it to keep it warm, because when it gets cold, you have to remove it. Some people will put a beanie on. I know when I first did this on my son, the first poultice I ever did, I think James just turned 45, something like that, so this is when he was 2. I had him breastfeeding, and I had the onion against my arm and against his ear so I could gauge the heat of it. And if it's too hot, he'll quickly tell you, isn't that right? And he fell asleep. And when I laid him down on the onion on a towel folded up about 4 times, because I knew that would, his little hot body on that, the onion, that would keep it warm. And he slept for 2 hours. And when he woke up, he was very happy. And he's never had another earache since.
Thank you for spending this time with me today. I hope these insights inspire you to take those first steps toward transforming your health in just 2 weeks. Remember, healing is a journey, and your body has incredible power to recover when you give it the right tools. If you found this information helpful, please like this video, share it with someone who needs it, and leave a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And don't forget to subscribe for more life-changing health tips. Together, we can embrace a healthier, happier life. Until next time, take care.